Hello! Welcome to another segment of the Virtual Leadership Summit called Seeking the Path. I'm Lynette Louise, the Brain Broad, and I am here to tell you lots of stuff, but let's start with I have a new book out. It's called The Seven Senses of Leadership, the Brain Broad's Guide to Leadership Sensibilities. It's got a lot of brain science in it, but I make it palatable, I make it interesting, and I make it possible for you to understand how information gets into the people that you're speaking with, that you're trying to lead. That's our guest. He popped into screen. Isn't that exciting? I love when they do that. They'll move their keys or something, and I'm in the middle of talking, and boom, you go. There's a little teaser. Ken Krell face came into screen. So anyways, I promise you, if you get the book, Amazon.com, you will be benefited in your leadership skills. So here we go. We are here to share people that have various skill sets. There are various places on the path of leadership. That's why I'm calling it Seeking the Path. So if you're way at the beginning of your journey, or if you're way at the end, there's someone for you, I promise. And Ken Krell is probably someone for everyone. So I first got introduced to Ken because he was creating something similar, a very huge group of experts, 50 experts, I think there were, and we all, shared our know-how, we shared our products, we shared our stuff, and I got to know him from that. He's really someone who bites off more than everyone else can chew and manages it. So for that, I think you are going to be blessed, and I want him to describe his stuff to you. So Ken, welcome to the segment of the Virtual Leadership Summit.
Well, thanks, Lynette. I appreciate it. It's great to be here. And I wanted to just say something to you before we got started, but I thought I'd wait till we got on camera. And that is, you look fabulous. You look absolutely sensational.
Lynette, okay. The truth is, a guy can always get somewhere with that. A compliment goes a long way.
So let's take that down to a lesson. Lesson number one. If you're going to be a leader, make sure you flatter people that you're with sincerely. Don't bullshit them, but tell them the truth about what makes them great. It makes them feel good, because what connects us is that emotional bound, right? People do business with people, and that's a really, really important distinction that you need to recognize. That people, whether you're doing business to business or business to consumer or whatever, people still make the deals. People run countries, people run businesses, so it's all people to people, and it's heart to heart. And it's interesting that we're talking about heart to heart, because how we met was the event that we were doing was called World Love Week, and it was about putting love into business. So, rule number one, be sincere. Rule number two, and most important, is two words that will be key to your success, and that is be nice. So I wasn't planning on using "you look great" as a teaching tool, but at the end of the day, it really is true. And people ask me what is my secret to success, and it's a lot of trying and getting up from being bloodied and knocked down and so on. But at the end of the day, it really comes from being nice to people, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be nice to people. These days, over the past couple of years, and certainly even before that, at least in the American psyche, niceness has become, unfortunately, a little bit more rare. People have become far more judgmental. People have become far more or far less tolerant, and people have been isolating themselves from others. And that needs to A, stop, and B, if you're wanting to be the leader, it needs to be you that makes that change. Because some of the leadership that we've had, right? Yeah, Viva one. Viva change.
I want to say something about that.
Yeah.
The reason that it turned into a teaching tool is because you 100% are this. So everything I do, I bet you I could do anything, and it could turn into a teaching tool. That's how you know your leader is real. Yeah. Is that they know their stuff so completely that everything jumps into a teaching tool. That was one. And number two, the second thing that came to mind while you were talking was when I first started in mental health, they make you take ethics classes. And one of the things at the end of the ethics class, after all this stuff they teach you so that you're prepared and you have all your insurances, and so that when you get sued, you'll be fine. At the very end, there's a little line that says, the greatest safety is to have your clients like you. And I thought, well, that's a lot cheaper than those insurances.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's interesting because and we're going to sort of go all over the place, it sounds like, at this point. I remember hearing about doctors and malpractice. And, there's the one segment of society which is like, you never apologize, you never admit wrongdoing, you never get real. And I can tell you that I was involved in some unpleasant business when the world financial crisis hit. We lost a lot of money, and my whole economic world fell apart. And I was advised to say nothing to my investors. You cannot talk to them, because if you say anything, you are now suable. And so, unfortunately, relationships that were built and trust that was built and so on, I had to disappear, which bothered the heck out of me, because these are people that I cared about. Now, let's take the other side, where they did a study with doctors, apparently, where some doctors, when a patient died or whatever, didn't necessarily admit wrongdoing, but apologized and were empathetic. And I don't know if they admitted any mistakes. They may have. I don't remember. But when the doctors connected that way and again, I don't remember those particular details, but let's just say they did admit wrongdoing, they weren't sued, because there was a caring, and we were all on the same team, and I can't bring my son back anyway, so let's put it away. So the results were actually better when people were real and were not in that position of avoiding, and having been in that position where I was so advised, the pain on my end, let alone the pain on the other side, huge. And the expense, because people think, oh, you must be hiding something. And right, look at the political environment. You've got a major political candidate that refuses to disclose personal financial information that every candidate has disclosed for years and years. Now, clearly, come on. So
everybody thinks they're the exception.
Common sense says hello. So, so there's that element of leadership is really important. And it's interesting that we're talking about that. I've been a speaker on stage for many, many years. I was ultimately selling. By the way, we're always selling. No matter what you're doing, you're always selling. So when I use that word, I just felt I better explain that little piece, because when you want your kid to clean his room or her room, you're selling the kid on the benefits of cleaning the room. Not necessarily on avoiding getting spanked or avoiding, being grounded, but on the benefits of having a nice, healthy lifestyle of a clean room, right? So let's make sure we're clean about that. In any event, it was when I was entertaining the audience, and I found that by building the rapport and entertaining them and so on, that would ultimately lead to sales. Did not. I had one of the guys that was on my road crew, his name was Don. He pulled me aside and he said, Ken, they're looking for a leader, looking for someone that's going to take them, guide them, lead them to where they want to be, because they're not doing it themselves. And so my whole demeanor on stage changed. I would let them have a little bit of fun and then bring them back. Let them have a little fun, bring them back. And we're kind of doing that a little bit here. It's become sort of automatic. All right. But that's what you've got to do if you want to be a leader and you want to build a business. You've got to accept that responsibility, accept that accountability, recognize that you're the captain of your ship, like it or not. And by the way, even if you're an employee right now working for the man or whatever, you're selling yourself. You call yourself a consultant, but you're getting paid every week or every whatever period you get paid in. Excuse me. So with that, if you accept that accountability that you are in charge of you, the leadership starts inside of here. Okay. It all starts inside of here. And that's where the magic comes from. Because when you set that gear in motion, even if you're not sure, when you set that gear in motion, you win, because momentum builds, and magical things happen. I was talking with an accountability partner I have. And by the way, that's really important to have an accountability partner to keep you honest, because willpower apparently is not that easy. I'm reading a book called, you should read this book, by the way. It's called The Power of One, by the guy who, somebody Keller, I think Gary Keller, I think his name is, runs Keller Williams Real Estate. Incredible book, and I'm only in like the 6th chapter. But he talks about willpower and how willpower is affected by your blood levels and so on. It's really interesting how we, it's like, oh yeah, I'll have a piece of chocolate cake. Wait, I'm on a diet. There's issues there. Anyhow, I just forgot what I was going to say to you. The whole point.
We were talking about your accountability partner, how it's very important to have one, because willpower doesn't really quite do it.
Yeah. And you need to have that. So what I said to her, because she was having an issue with, what do I do next? I'm sort of stuck in that, I don't know. So of course, when you're in, I don't know, what do you do? Nothing. Right.
Confusion is the most painful, most action killer thing that you can have, really. Confusion just completely sticks you in place.
Absolutely. And so what I said to her is that if you take a step forward, just pick something and just commit to it maybe for 3 months. I mean, in 3 months, anybody can do 3 months. Really, anybody can do 3 months. Just pick something to go down the path of. Because with that, you may discover that the person you meet in 2 weeks brings you at a completely different path, which is where you really needed to go. And it's really interesting how that all plays out. We're a software company. We develop software that helps people make their business more fun and profitable. And our flagship product called iBoostify Site Wrap keeps people on your website longer so you can build a bigger list and sell more stuff. So it's all about building a tribe and building a community. That came from being involved with other people. It came from going to live events. It came from connecting and answering people's needs and seeing what they wanted, hearing what they wanted, and taking that and saying, I can fix this for you. I was at an event just a few weeks ago, ran into a buddy of mine that we do some business with, and I was on the phone with Ryan yesterday morning, and he said, do you have a BizOp product? And I'm thinking, I really never thought about it. We're selling the ability to keep people on your site so you can make more money and build authority, and it's amazing. I mean, anyone who does any kind of business online should be using our software. And yes, it sounds like a shameless plug, but you know, if you're not passionate about what you're doing,
you shouldn't be doing it. If you don't believe in it, why are you doing it?
Absolutely, absolutely. So you should be an evangelist for you and for what you're doing, but not over the edge, I think. Anyway, because I'm still a little bit conservative, a little bit. But he said to me, what do you have as a BizOp thing? And so he brought to me a whole nother concept of, wow, a whole nother market, which has now allowed me within the space of 24 hours to build another product, which brings in double the revenue and then brings in recurring revenue of multiple thousands of dollars, all because of that one call and that one conversation. So if you're stuck in that cycle of, you know, that hamster wheel of uncertainty, you know, you're never going to get that magical synchronicity of, whoa, you know, of here's that great idea that can more than double your revenue without changing anything that you're doing other than adding another SKU code.
Right.
You know?
In fact, you can't even hear it. When you're caught in that circle of the gerbil wheel inside your head, basically your feedback loops fill up and you can't hear other people's ideas. You can't see any good ideas. Like, you literally shut down and go within. And so it's not useful. The advice you gave about just starting out it's fantastic. I've heard it before, but you said something, and we have it on the summit, but what we don't have is something else you said. So I'm going to take us back a little bit because it's really cool. I introduced a bunch of comedians to the folks because I started in stand-up comedy and I couldn't resist. And what I loved about having them on the summit is that they are leaders by happenstance and aren't careful about making sure their leadership goes somewhere. So it gave us a chance to sort of look at something you brought up, and you said it so clearly, and I wish I had said it when I interviewed them. So let's talk about that a little bit. When you're just entertainment, even though you have a million messages and you have a focus inside your head, you're not truly leading. Now, people may be picking stuff up, but they're not going along the trajectory you're hoping to take them. So let's talk about that, because I don't think anyone's talked about that.
Well, okay, I'm happy to, because it's very, very interesting, and it's something that I learned the hard way. So when I was teaching, I was teaching people how to buy real estate as an investment, and talking about no money down methods and all this sort of thing. So if you watch those late night infomercials years ago, they say, come to the hotel, learn how to buy real estate with no money down. You got me. And I've also been on some infomercials as guests and so on. So it was kind of a fun game. But what I discovered is that when I was in front of that room and they're laughing and they're having fun, whether it was in a 90-minute discovery session or it was in the 3A programs that I would teach, because I would actually deliver the content as well. Each time there was still a sale. And by the way, with everything you do, there should always be some kind of call to action or a sale. Preferably one that pays you so that you can enjoy the lifestyle that you deserve and that you desire. So we would, on the 3-day program, we would have multi-$1,000 sales. And on the single day, or the 90-minute evening program at the hotel, for example, it might be $1,000 or $2,000, depending upon what it was we were offering. And what I discovered is that the more fun we had, the less money we made.
Isn't that funny?
So what I discovered is that really you need to think about yourself as having a rubber band. And the rubber band expands so that maybe you're fun, but then snap it back to bring them back to, okay, you're having fun now, but guess what? If you don't do this, Ain't gonna be pretty. You're gonna feel that pain. So you've got to bring them back, because that shows leadership. That shows that you're in command of the situation, and once again guides them. Everybody's looking for a leader. All of us are. If you go to the gym and you want a trainer, you're looking for a leader to help you lose your weight and get back in shape. We're all looking for that. Think about now in the marketplace, what's selling? Done for you stuff is selling because nobody wants to work because they don't know what they're doing. So the key, I believe, at least from a speaking standpoint, has been to make them have fun, get them laughing a little bit, get them to identify with you, know, like, and trust you. But at the same time, make really sure that it's like, boys and girls, if you want results, think about parents. Parents that always say yes, yes, yes to their kids because they don't want to have conflict and they want their kid to have a better life and all this madness. These are the kids that are mostly in trouble, and the parents that don't have a solid relationship because they don't show their love by actually demonstrating. Now I'm going to get into an area I know nothing about, by the way, because I'm not a parent.
That's okay. I'm a parent. I'll catch you.
Yeah, right. So I tell parents in my classes. I just tell it as it is. Some people love me, some people don't appreciate me. But I tell people, look, you're on board right now in your life to build your life. And everybody needs to build their own way. So don't do this for your kids. Do this life for you. Let your bank accounts run dry when you're dead. Don't give it to your kids. Let your kids find their own way because that's the only way that they're going to learn and they're going to grow. And it's interesting. I was listening to the story of, I think it was Andrew Carnegie. It was one of those guys from that genre, where it was like his kids had to start on their own. He did not give them any handouts because he didn't have any handouts. And I'll take you into a story. And by the way, a good leader tells great stories. I don't consider myself a great storyteller, but I think that's something that if you want to learn a skill set that will take you a long, long way, storytelling absolutely needs to be it. I wish I was born like in the South with Billy Bob as my dad, because I'd be a great storyteller. That's one of the things I miss the most, I think, right? That I regret the most, not having Billy Bob as my dad. So,
believe it or not, I introduced Billy Bob products. So it's funny that you use that term. Go for the story. We want to hear it.
Yeah. So there's apparently there was a study done with butterflies, and when a butterfly goes, it starts out as a whatever those little things are. Caterpillar, that's the word I'm looking for, right? And so they go into the cocoon, and then they're trying to get out. So the scientists said, well, let's just make it easier for them. We'll cut the thing open so they can get out and they can fly. They died. Why? Because all it took to open these things up was strengthening their wings and giving them the strength they needed to blast it open and go out and become gorgeous, magnificent creatures and make us all smile with how beautiful they are. So the helpingness sometimes doesn't give people the strength that they need to move forward. So it's like, the wax on, wax off builds that muscle mass to give you the strength to move forward. So if you're a parent, and again, I don't have kids, right? I've never had kids, but that's what you need to do. And you need to do that, by the way, with people that are your clients and so on and so forth. Sometimes you need to make the decision that makes it harder for them, but it's how they're going to learn. They've got to go through it and experience it because you did. That's how you grew. They need to have this exact same gift.
Thank you for that story. And I have 8 kids, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. And they were special needs. I adopted 6 special needs kids and multiply handicapped. And the reason that all but one became healthy and off the spectrum and independent is I let them strengthen their wings. And I literally have never heard that before. That's a great example. Okay, I have 3 questions I ask everyone before I let you tell your website and all that again and do that piece. So question number 1, what's your definition of leadership?
This interview, I think. I think the definition of leadership is to set an example. And be a leader in your own life. And of course, I'm using that word again. So I'd say the definition of leadership is to set an example for others.
Awesome. And what's your definition of success?
Being happy with yourself.
Oh, I love how short your answers are. That's so awesome. Everybody else. Okay. They can actually remember your answer. Okay. And given your definition of leadership and your definition of success, what advice would you give to somebody who's stepping on the path and wants to be a leader in your field?
If we want to talk software, we want to talk about influencing. I'm thinking now, I think my biggest advice really is to study people that are smarter I don't necessarily use the word smarter, but are further along than you. Look for mentors, look for guides, look for people that you can emulate, and don't necessarily copy them, but emulate them. Okay, I mean, I want to make sure I'm clear about the copy part of it, because some people copy like word for word and stuff. I don't want anyone doing that, but I want you to model. That's the word I'm looking for. Model what their success is. There's so much greatness out there, and if you don't need to work so darn hard, you can just simply follow what other brilliant people are doing and modify that. So we're, you know, I said, we're a software company. One of the great successes in software over the past few years has been a company called Lead Pages out of Minneapolis. They've done a phenomenal job by marketing, by using content as a tool to sell their software. Well, guess what? We're doing that. So, and it's really cool. So we're not copying their content or any of that sort of thing, but we're creating content. And if you love our content, well, you get it free when you take a one-year license of SiteWrap, for example. So that's what I'm talking about. If you see someone that's got a great website, don't steal their copy, but model your copy, model your look and feel. I mean, we model Apple in a lot of ways. I want simplicity, I want clarity, I want a feeling of camaraderie and community. So I would say that's a good chunk of the answer is my advice. And make it fun for people to do business with you. And we talk about on our homepage, so we make business fun and profitable for you, right? That's who we are. So make business fun. We use when you get to our website, go to iboostify.com, you'll see our dog. I mean, who for a software company, business to business, has a fun dog on their page? We do, and we have the dog everywhere. And by the way, we're going to have a contest to name him or her. It hasn't been done yet. That's going to be part of, by the way, engaging your audience. But make doing business with you fun. Have your personality be there. And I'll leave you with one last thing here, and that is, don't make it about you. Don't plaster your website with pictures all about you. No one cares about you. Truly, they don't. They care about them. So make them the star, because that's who you're working for. You're working for your customer and for your team. That's who you're working for. You may consider yourself self-employed, but guess what? If you don't work for your customer or your client, you don't work for anybody. So that's, I think, the giant thing you need to learn. Make it fun. Look at Richard Branson. Richard Branson makes doing business with him fun. Look at Southwest Airlines. You fly Southwest Airlines, yes, because it's in many cases the lower expensive option, or you get your bags free, but they're fun to fly. Make that experience fun.
Yeah, and I think they proved that fun sells, and I really loved that about them. You said something. I know I said that was the last question, but I need one more.
I'll charge you extra for that, by the way.
You're not judging me at all. We're just sharing. Now you made me forget what I was going to ask you. Okay, just a second. Just a second. Okay, you were talking about. Oh yes. The concept of looking for people to emulate. You know, I haven't asked this before, but so you're stepping out into the path, and there are so many folks selling, and you know, they're saying, you should pick me to emulate. You should pick me to emulate. It's a tough moment to go, where should I go? Who should I pick? How do they choose their leaders? How do they choose the person they're going to model after? Any advice on that?
You know, it's interesting. My first thought with you was, no, it's not hard. It's really easy. But then I stepped back and I said, well, yeah, there are so many different people that are having consistent views or, you know, different elements. You know, so if you're in the internet marketing field, you know, do you emulate Frank Kern? Do you emulate, you know, Jeff Walker? Do you go to Pagan? Blah blah blah. So I understand what you're saying. I think the answer is, if you need to just go and weigh them down and do like a Ben Franklin on it, you know, who's your top, or you just write them all down, and then you got to cut the list in half. Then you got to cut the list in half again. Then you got to cut, and it comes down to the one. I would say the one, really, rather than more than one, especially in conjunction with the book I'm reading about the one thing, because you know, you can add stuff later on. But unless you get that recipe for fried chicken exactly right, you're not going to build KFC. Right. So, and I needed to add that too, because I'm a multitasker. I've been a multitasker for years and years, and we need to stop saying I'm a multitasker. Number one, lesson for me, but lesson for you is that, and you're my queen of brain science now, right? Multitasking does not work. And I've always believed that it was important that you could multitask. I always thought it was an important thing, and I'm reading more and more that it kills your productivity. So focus on pick one person, and you may discover, first of all, by the way, they're human. So you may discover that the person you thought was the bomb isn't, and they've got a great facade, and they're broke and driving a beat up car and so on, which is, by the way, true of many of these so-called gurus. All right. And by the way, it'll be true for you too. If you're a real entrepreneur, let's make something very, very clear. It's okay on your entrepreneurial journey to be broke.
Right. Right. At different times too. Many millionaires have gone bankrupt several times.
Everybody goes through this. And I was at a conference recently for startup software companies, and we're all commiserating about, there's the cash flow issue, and there's the bringing investors in, and all this sort of stuff. And we all understand when there's no cash, and when you're paying your programmer rather than paying your rent because you believe in what you're doing. That's also leadership, making those choices. So don't beat yourself up. Really important. Don't beat yourself up when you're in that phase, because if you do it right, you'll get past it. If you let it drop you down, you got a problem. So keep the faith. Recognize that if you've got a good business plan, because again, you got to have obviously something that makes sense. The idea of the secret and the law of attraction, this by itself is really nice, but the rest of this has to work too. You actually have to do something. So I always say just Nike it. Just do it. And even if it's unpleasant, just do what you need to do. Make 100 calls a day, whatever you got to do to get your business off the ground. Because if you're committed, it will happen. If you're not committed, the universe is going to react the same way. If you're, nothing's going to go on. It's miraculous. I'm going to tell you, it's miraculous when you finally get clear what you're going to do, and clarity is everything here. Then miracles happen. I mean, people show up out of the blue that want to help you. It's amazing. So
it is.
So you watching here, Mr. or Ms. Human, you need to take that action, and you need to just pick something. I don't care what it is. Pick something and go forth with energy and enthusiasm, and be open to wherever that journey takes you. Because the reason why cars have steering wheels is because no road is perfectly straight.
Right.
So be prepared for the journey. I keep saying one last thing, and I told you this.
Okay, one last thing, because you're the one with the event to go to. One last.
I know. And listen, I live in Thailand, and I don't get to go to many events. Certainly, when I'm in the U.S. right now in San Diego, in a hotel room with sun streaming through the windows, so you're seeing all the lighting get screwy. But it's that personal connection that means a lot. So I will fly, 24 to 36 hours, depending upon the way I go, and do a jet lag to be in the personal thing. I mean, we've been able. You and I were working this when I was at my apartment in Bangkok, and we did it virtually, like we're doing now.
You're getting beat by technology right now.
Yeah, it's really cool. It works, thank God. So I totally forgot the point I wanted to make, Lynette. I'm trying to say it was important to. It went away. Oh well. When you're engaging with somebody and you're able to let things flow like this, that's where magic really happens. So be prepared for that journey, and let that journey happen for you. Because again, when you make a decision and you lead yourself, you get what you want, one way or the other. But be prepared for surprises, because that's where the magic really is. So I'm gonna. You look like you froze. Are you still there? Uh-oh. You are frozen, which must mean that I am probably frozen. Ha 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 ha. What I will say, if this is recording and capturing me, what I will say is that when shit happens, just smile into it, and it went away. Let's see. Hi there.
Oh, there you are. Okay, you were making your end points, and we didn't get it. So I was going, Ken, you better stop.
You were frozen. You were frozen on my end. What I want to say to that too, by the way, is that when and I'll just get right into it. When shit happens, smile with it. I know what the point was now, because this is kind of perfect. First of all, if you're doing an interview or whatever and things get wonky, laugh with it. I mean, if your microphone on stage, gets bombed out, laugh with it. It's just all part of the journey, and your audience will love you for going with it and acknowledging it. years ago, I was doing some speaking for Harv Eker. Harv has some amazing programs, and what Harv does on stage is he has a music stand right in the middle of the stage, which keeps all the notes on it, and which, as a speaker, I don't like that. I want to be prepared with my stuff, right? But that's how Harv likes to present. So I'm on stage doing this lecture with 500 people in the room, and I'm effervescent, and my arms are moving around and this and that, and I just go like this, knock the music stand off, papers are flying everywhere, the audience gasps like this, and I looked at the papers, you know, sailing to the ground. I looked at the audience, looked at the papers, went back to the audience again, and I said, "Bet you're glad that wasn't you."
Oh, that's awesome.
And they exploded. They were hysterical, because that's exactly where their head was. They were sure as hell were glad it wasn't them. And I said, talk amongst yourself for a second. Let me pick this up. Then we went back to it, and sales were fantastic.
Yeah, it's the pay attention to the elephant in the room. If someone drops a tray, if whatever happens, you have to speak to it. All right, before we get kicked off.
Wait, I gotta give you this one. This is the piece I wanted to go to. If you're gonna go whitewater rafting, if you're on a river that is completely flat, you're gonna be bored to death. The joy in whitewater rafting, the excitement comes from the rapids. When shit happens in your life and in your business, and you're broke, or some employee does something stupid, or the government does something stupid, which is, you know, never happens, or whatever, okay, that's the rapids. And if you look at that as the rapids and recognize that you will sail through it, you know, Winston Churchill said, if you're going through hell, keep going. You know, if you're in that mode, think about it as the rapids. Help yourself get through that piece so that you can be happy and recognize that smooth sailing's coming. So it's an important thing to tell yourself regularly, because trust me, as you grow, you're going to find that pain of getting that cocoon open and getting the profit coming. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard, but it's worth it, because you're worth it.
I love that. We've been speaking with Ken Krell and Lynette Louise, the Brain Broad. You've been enjoying another segment of the Virtual Leadership Summit, Seeking the Path. Say your website one more time.
Go to iboostify.com, iboostify.com. You're going to love it. It's fun. You'll see the dog.
All right. And you've been amazing. Thank you so much for being part of it, and go enjoy your event.
Thanks, Lynette.